Thank you. We're going to play for you now a piece by Margaret Bonds, who was the protege and friend and collaborator of Florence Price. They were both very central to the Black Renaissance in Chicago in the 1930s. And both just extraordinary women who, again, had this kind of outsized ambition and accomplished tremendous things while also doing life. Margaret Bonds, when she was in college at Northwestern University, discovered the poetry of Langston Hughes in the library, and she said it saved her life. And some years later they met and they became close friends, and he convinced her to move to Harlem, where she joined the circles there, and they collaborated over and over again, and they wrote these beautiful songs. She set his texts. I think that she inspired him to have maybe sort of a wider palette, and he inspired her to do the magical thing that only happens when you put words and music together. We're going to play for you what's actually a song, but we have translated it onto the violin because the violin's pretty good at singing. But I wanted to share with you the text by Langston Hughes, Dream Variations. To fling my arms wide in some place of the sun, to whirl and to dance till the white day is done, then rest at cool evening beneath a tall tree while night comes on gently, dark like me. When we sat down earlier today to rehearse, and Amaryn played this through, I said, "Oh, you read the text, didn't you?" And she said, "Yeah, because when you play, well, it's interesting for us as musicians who don't have words. I've always loved playing songs, and you said you feel the same.
Oh, yeah.
Words are amazing because they tell you exactly what to do with the phrase. They tell you exactly where to breathe. They tell you exactly what the line means."
Right. And well, when I was studying this piece, actually, for this concert, I listened to quite a few different recordings. Some were opera singers and some were pop singers. And I really paid attention to where they took breaths. So, you have to breathe. I'm a singer. So I made sure, like, when I'm playing it, to have retakes in my bow or just stop the bow a little bit to make it sound like a breath. And that was actually really fun to figure out.
And it's a really good education for us in the rest of everything. And you admitted to me, and I do the same. And it's kind of embarrassing, but I sometimes make up words to my...
Me too. I do too.
It just really helps. Also, I think for violin, it's even not this bad. When I'm working with young pianists, I'm giving master classes, I'm always yelling at them that they have to think like singers, because for us, there's no mechanical effort involved in, for example, a big jump. You can just, it's right there. You press a button, makes a note. But for a singer, if a singer wants to make that arc, which is intended as a moment of something, some sort of emotion, some sort of something, it's a physical effort. And so I'm always saying we have to train our bodies to stretch with whatever we're trying to do musically. Anyway, it was really fun to hear you listen.
It's important.
Yeah. Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you.
I'm going to share with you two more pieces by Margaret Bonds. And Margaret Bonds I'm pretty obsessed with her music. It's so interesting because Florence Price is, you can see the bridge where she is between the late European Romantics and this new thing that's happening in American music in the 1930s where different sounds are coming into it, and she's facilitating that. Margaret Bonds was a bit younger. She was writing a bit later, and you just hear this confidence in her music, this very instinctive way of blending, different influences and kind of stretching the boundaries. This is a piece of hers called Troubled Water. She was a person of very profound faith, and this is based on the spiritual weight in the water. Thank you so much. The last piece I want to share is something really special. So, in the mid-60s, Margaret Bonds wrote a piece of music called Credo. Big piece for baritone, soloist, chorus, orchestra. It was set to the text by W.E.B. Du Bois, which he wrote in 1904, his Credo, his prose poem about equality, freedom, justice. So translating these words from the turn of the century to the mid-60s in the middle of the civil rights movement. The piece was performed by the Los Angeles Philharmonic under Zubin Mehta in 1972, just a few months before she died. And then it was never published. She took it to her publishers, and she'd had great success with some of her other compositions, so they were very happy to have this piece, but the text was problematic. The text was really about, the beauty of the African American people and their rights and their future. And so the publishers said, white choruses aren't going to sing this piece. And they said, if you can change it. And she went to Du Bois's widow, Shirley Du Bois, and you can imagine what the response was to that request. So the piece sat for these 50 years until just now it's finally been published. And their performance is starting to pop up. But I've taken this little fragment. This is her original piano score before she orchestrated the piece. And it came to me last year that the words of this piece, that the vision of this piece, it's so important right now, this idea of belief, this idea of faith in humanity, in the future, in each other. So I launched this initiative called I Believe, and I'm just asking young people around the country to make a credo for our own time. What are the things that we believe in truly, instinctively, in our hearts, the things that we believe can be done to make the world a better place, and then how do we do those things? What are the little small actions that we take every day? And it's been a really beautiful experience to work with these kids. We went to the Watts Learning Center in LA a few weeks ago with a station, did a beautiful event for the kids there, and they'd prepared their own statements, their I Believe statements. They performed them for their peers. It was just beautiful. And then we're going to do another one of these in Berkeley, for the Berkeley, one of the middle schools in Berkeley, at the end of this month. And it's just something that I'm so proud to do together with the station, to really go out into our communities, to share this music with young people who don't have access to it, and also to invite them to participate and to tap into their own vision and their own creativity and their own self-expression. So now you can enjoy this very short piece. It's way shorter than all the speaking I just did. This is the Credo by Margaret Bonds.